Picture this for a second. You get hit hard enough that the seatbelt locks. The front of the car crumples. Glass breaks. Your heart is pounding. And afterward, somebody says, "Wait, why didn't the airbag go off?" Or maybe it did go off, but it deployed wrong, late, or in a way that made the crash even worse. That's the part that shakes people. Most drivers assume the airbag system is just there, ready and fine. That assumption can be dangerous. Airbags matter a lot, but they're also one of the most misunderstood parts of a car. People treat them like a guaranteed backup plan. Like if something bad happens, they'll automatically save the day. That's not really how it works. Airbags are supplemental safety systems. That means they're designed to work with seatbelts, not replace them. And they're not supposed to deploy in every crash. So when we talk about airbag failures, the real question isn't just, did it go off? The bigger question is, was the system healthy, genuine, and ready for the kind of crash where it actually should have helped?
If you like simple car advice without the shop fluff, subscribe. I try to make this stuff clear before it turns into an expensive or dangerous surprise. Now, to be fair, airbags are not supposed to go off in every crash. A low-speed bump, a weird angle, certain side impacts, a glancing hit. Even some crashes that leave visible damage might not trigger a front airbag. Deployment depends on crash severity, impact direction, sensor input, and how the system in that specific car is designed. Some newer systems also factor in whether you're wearing a seatbelt. So a non-deployment does not automatically mean the airbag system failed. But that's not the same thing as saying the system is always healthy. And this is where the story gets uncomfortable. Some of the biggest airbag risks have nothing to do with what the driver notices day to day. The car can start, drive, brake, and feel completely normal, while the safety system is not in the shape you think it is. One major problem is unresolved recalls, especially inflator recalls. A recalled airbag is not a paperwork issue. It's not some harmless dealership annoyance you ignore for 6 months. Some inflator defects have been serious enough that the inflator can rupture when it deploys and send metal fragments into the cabin. That sounds extreme, but it happens. So if your car has an open airbag recall and you keep putting it off because the car seems fine, you're basically gambling with a system you may need once at the worst possible moment.
Here's the part most people never think about: the used car market. This next problem is one used car buyers almost never think about. Counterfeit, substandard, or just plain incorrect replacement airbags are real. Same with cheap replacement inflators. If a vehicle was crashed before you bought it and repaired badly, the airbag parts inside may not be what the factory intended. And that can mean a bag that deploys too slowly, deploys partially, doesn't deploy at all, or deploys in a dangerous way. The outside of the car can look completely normal. Fresh paint, clean interior, nice listing photos. Meanwhile, the safety system may have been rebuilt with bargain parts nobody should trust. And this is exactly why warning lights and repair history matter. A lot of people only find out something was wrong after the crash. There's another version of this problem that's even sneakier. Airbags are single-use. Once they deploy, they have to be properly replaced, along with whatever related components the repair procedure calls for. But if a car was in a prior wreck and someone cut corners, the next owner may have no idea the system was never restored the right way. Maybe the steering wheel was replaced badly. Maybe the module wasn't reset or replaced properly. Maybe trim panels were put back and the car was sold. And this is where a car that looks repaired can still be dangerous. A clean vacuum job and shiny tires do not tell you whether the restraint system was brought back to factory condition. The one warning sign people ignore the most is the airbag light, or SRS light. SRS just means Supplemental Restraint System. If that light stays on,
flashes, or comes on and doesn't behave normally, don't brush it off. People do this all the time because the car still drives fine. But that misses the point. The airbag system isn't there to help the car drive. It's there to help you survive a crash. That warning could involve sensors, wiring, the control module, seatbelt pretensioners, or other restraint components tied into the system. It doesn't mean guaranteed failure in every case, but it absolutely means the system needs attention. This next part matters even if your airbag light has never come on. Some vehicles use occupant detection or passenger classification systems. In plain English, the car is trying to figure out who or what is in the seat and whether the passenger airbag should be on, off, or deploy in a certain way. That means seat sensors and seat loading matter. If the system misclassifies the occupant, the passenger side protection may not operate the way people assume. Sometimes it's a fault. Sometimes it's odd seat loading. Sometimes it's related to the seat itself. The important thing is this: if your passenger airbag status behaves strangely or doesn't match what should be happening, don't ignore it and hope for the best.
And even when the system is working correctly, protection still depends on how you're sitting. This isn't exactly a system failure, but it's a huge reason airbags don't always protect people the way they expect. If you sit too close to the steering wheel, lean against the door, ride with a foot up, rest an arm where a side airbag deploys, or use aftermarket seat or dash covers that interfere with the airbag path, you're messing with a very fast, very forceful device. Airbags deploy in milliseconds. They're not soft pillows slowly popping out to save you. They're timed parts of a bigger restraint system, and they protect best when you're belted and seated properly. So here's the simple checklist I'd keep in mind. Check your recalls by VIN. Don't ignore an airbag or SRS warning light. Be very careful with used cars that have vague crash history or suspiciously cheap repairs. If an airbag ever deployed, insist on proper repairs with genuine parts from a reputable shop or dealer. And every time you drive, sit properly and wear the seatbelt, because the belt and the airbag are supposed to work together. If you've ever had an airbag light, dealt with a recall, or bought a used car with questionable history, let me know in the comments. Those stories help other people pay attention before they end up learning the hard way.
The bigger problem is what most drivers never check. Airbags don't need routine maintenance like oil changes or brake pads, so people assume no symptoms means no issue. But airbag safety is mostly about hidden things: recall status, warning lights, crash history, proper repairs, and whether the parts inside the car are genuine. You usually won't get much warning before you need that system. That's the takeaway. Airbags are incredibly important, but they're not magic, and they're not the whole safety story. They're one part of a restraint system that only works right when the parts are correct, the sensors are healthy, the repairs were done properly, and the person in the seat is positioned the way the system expects. The worst time to discover an airbag problem is during the crash you thought your car was ready for. Subscribe if you want more videos that help you catch safety problems before they matter most, and help you avoid the kind of car mistakes that cost money when you're lucky and cost much more when you're not.